you are spending hundreds of dollars a year on pills that promise to give you more energy, protect your fragile bones, and extend your life. But there is a dark secret in the supplement industry that almost nobody is telling you. If you are over 60, five of the most popular vitamins and minerals sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now are destroying your heart. They are hardening your coronary arteries, oxidizing your blood from the inside, and raising your risk of heart failure by up to 20%. And the number one supplement on this list, the one almost every doctor blindly recommends to older women to prevent fractures, is literally the biological equivalent of pouring fresh cement directly into the delicate valves of your heart. Today, I am going to reveal which 5 silent poisons are disguised as health pills, why your heart after 60 can no longer handle their chemical load, and exactly what you must do instead to obtain those nutrients in a 100% safe way. I am Dr. Cezar Villareal. I have spent years of my life studying preventive medicine, metabolic cardiology, and how the human body ages at the cellular level. My only goal here is to give you the truth based on hard science, unfiltered, with no hidden agendas, and without the influence of the multi-billion-dollar supplement industry that only wants to sell you more bottles. If you care about your cardiovascular health and want to take real control of your longevity, subscribe to the channel right now and activate the notification bell so you never miss a medical alert. I want you to go to the comments and tell me which country you are watching from and how many supplement pills you take per day. It is essential to remember that the information in this video is purely educational. Please consult your trusted doctor before making any changes to your medication or supplement regimen. Your health is unique and requires personalized clinical attention. To understand why these apparently harmless vitamins become destructive, you need to grasp a critical and irreversible biological change that happens in your body once you cross the 60-year threshold. Imagine your body as a vast and sophisticated industrial recycling plant. When you are in your 20s or 30s, this plant runs at full speed with astonishing efficiency. If you deliver a massive excess of raw materials, your enzymes process them, your cells use what they need, and your body quickly eliminates the rest through the natural filters of your kidneys and liver. But as we age, the biological reality shifts. The conveyor belts of this plant slow down significantly. The glomerular filtration rate of your kidneys naturally declines. Your liver no longer produces the same volume of enzymes needed to metabolize isolated synthetic compounds. Even the acidity of your stomach, which is absolutely critical for breaking down the mineral rocks inside pills, drops to half of what it once was. When you take an isolated synthetic vitamin in a massive dose, you are not nourishing your body. You are dumping tons of heavy raw material onto a conveyor belt moving at a fraction of its normal speed. The result is not better cellular health. The result is a toxic traffic jam. These nutrients, unable to be processed, packaged, or eliminated in time, begin to accumulate and float freely in your bloodstream. They become toxic agents, and the first organ to suffer the devastating consequences of this toxicity is your heart. The cardiovascular system is a closed circuit of pressurized pipes. Any chemical substance floating in excess through your blood will scrape, irritate, and erode the inner lining of your arteries, a microscopic layer known as the endothelium. The endothelium is thinner than a human hair, yet it is responsible for producing nitric oxide, the gas that keeps your arteries flexible and open. When synthetic vitamins damage this lining, the arteries stiffen, blood pressure spikes, and the road toward a heart attack becomes fully paved. That is why what comes next is so important. What you believed was your daily protective shield is actually the biological weapon attacking your heart from within. Number 5, vitamin A in high doses. Vitamin A in its isolated supplement form. Since early childhood, we have been taught that vitamin A is the undisputed miracle nutrient for perfect eagle-eye vision, for shielding the immune system against infections, and for keeping skin young and elastic. And all of that is absolutely true when that vitamin comes from a crunchy carrot or a slice of pumpkin. But when it arrives concentrated in a synthetic gel capsule manufactured in a laboratory, the story is completely different and extremely dangerous for your heart. Let me tell you about Roberto. Roberto is a 68-year-old patient who came to my practice chronically fatigued. He also noticed in his recent lab work that his LDL cholesterol and triglycerides were through the roof, despite having an impeccable diet, low in fat and rich in vegetables. He was taking a high potency daily multivitamin and, on top of that, a specific eye health supplement because he was terrified of losing his vision. Both bottles contained very high doses of preformed vitamin A, also listed on labels as retinol or retinol palmitate. What Roberto did not know is that vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin. That means one very clear thing. You do not urinate it out when you take too much. It stays trapped. It is stored directly in your fatty tissue and, above all, in your liver. Think of your liver as the gas tank of a classic automobile. If you keep pumping fuel at high pressure when the tank is already completely full, the toxic fuel spills over the sides, ruins the paint, and creates a fire hazard. After 60, your liver storage capacity and its ability to process vitamin A safely drop dramatically. If you take daily supplements, the tank overflows quickly. That excess synthetic vitamin A spills directly into your bloodstream. I told Roberto to throw both bottles in the trash immediately and to get his vitamin A by eating baked sweet potatoes and fresh spinach. In just 3 months, without changing anything else, his cholesterol dropped to normal ranges, his triglycerides plummeted, and his fatigue vanished completely. His heart was safe from the crossfire once again. Science backs this powerfully. A thorough Harvard University study analyzing data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey with more than 4,700 older adults demonstrated an alarming fact. Persistently elevated preformed vitamin A levels in the blood not only artificially raise triglycerides, but actively promote calcification of the heart's aortic valve. Excess vitamin A interferes with how your liver packages and manages blood fats, creating the perfect inflammatory environment for hardened plaques to form in your arteries. It also aggressively stimulates osteoclasts, the cells responsible for breaking down old bone, releasing torrents of calcium into the bloodstream that end up fatally depositing in your heart. The practical solution is simple and direct. Throw away any supplements containing preformed vitamin A or retinol. The human body is an incredibly intelligent machine. If you consume vitamin A precursors through beta-carotene-rich foods like sweet potatoes, carrots, spinach, and cantaloupe, your body will only convert into active vitamin A the precise and exact amount it needs that day, not one drop more. The remaining beta-carotene simply acts as a harmless and beneficial cellular antioxidant. Get your eagle-eye vision from the fresh produce aisle, not from a plastic bottle at the pharmacy. But if you think vitamin A is dangerous when it overflows, wait until you hear what the next mass market supplement does to your blood. Number 4, synthetic folic acid. This is, without a doubt, one of the largest and most prolonged commercial deceptions in modern nutrition. Millions of adults over 60 take B-complex supplements or pure folic acid pills every day. They do so because they have read in health magazines that it boosts mental energy and, above all, reduces an inflammatory compound in the blood called homocysteine, which is directly linked to heart attacks and strokes. Sounds like a brilliant idea until you look at the real biochemistry. Meet Carmen, a 63-year-old woman who is very proactive about her health. She started taking high doses of over-the-counter folic acid because she was terrified of having a heart attack like her father did. Just a few months into her regimen, Carmen began experiencing strange heart palpitations, episodes of resting tachycardia, and severe fatigue that kept her pinned to the sofa. Her doctor discovered something truly alarming in her lab results. High-dose synthetic folic acid was masking a severe vitamin B12 deficiency. It was allowing silent neurological damage to advance in her brain and peripheral nerves, while her heart suffered the ravages of acute vascular inflammation. We immediately switched her to natural folate through a diet rich in spinach, broccoli, and lentils. Her terrifying palpitations stopped in just 2 weeks, and she fully recovered her vital energy. Here is the visual analogy you need to understand to save your arteries. Imagine you have a high fashion clothing factory. Natural folate, the kind that comes from plants, is like a shipment of high quality raw cotton arriving at the factory and being slowly and carefully turned into perfect shirts. Synthetic folic acid, created in the laboratory, is like 10 dump trucks throwing millions of cheap plastic shirts directly at the factory's front door, completely blocking the entrance. Your liver enzymes, specifically one called dihydrofolate reductase, simply cannot process all that synthetic folic acid at once. The factory grinds to a halt. When this enzyme becomes completely saturated, the unmetabolized folic acid begins circulating freely through your bloodstream as toxic waste. This is known medically as the UMFA syndrome. A rigorous meta-analysis of 30 controlled clinical trials with more than 82,000 participants revealed the harsh reality. Taking folic acid supplements to lower homocysteine does not reduce the risk of coronary disease or heart attacks in older adults whatsoever. It is a useless effort. Worse still, a Tufts University study with 1,500 older adults demonstrated that this synthetic folic acid floating in the blood reduces the function of natural killer cells in the immune system by 23% and promotes severe endothelial inflammation, which is literally the first biological step toward a fulminant heart attack. The safe alternative is absolute and non-negotiable. Never buy a vitamin supplement that says folic acid in the ingredient list on the label. That is the cheap synthetic compound created in a laboratory to cut costs. If you need to supplement under strict medical guidance, always look for the active and bioavailable form called methylfolate or L-methylfolate. This form is already pre-processed and your body can use it immediately without causing a toxic traffic jam in your liver. And better yet, consume real folate from the earth. The very word folate comes from the Latin folium, meaning foliage. Eat dark leafy greens, tender asparagus, avocados, and lentils. Your heart will thrive on natural folate, but will violently reject synthetic folic acid. And speaking of heavy metals floating in your blood, number 3 is the most common and destructive mistake older adults make when they feel tired. Number 3, over-the-counter iron supplements. How many of you have felt fatigued climbing a flight of stairs, or noticed paleness in your face, and automatically went to the pharmacy to buy iron pills thinking you had anemia? It is an incredibly common practice, fueled by advertising, and it is mortally dangerous for your heart if you are over 60. Let me present the clinical case of Jorge, an active 71-year-old man who started feeling he had no energy to play with his grandchildren. He assumed his blood was weak. He bought a high-potency iron tonic and started taking it religiously every day with his breakfast. 6 months later, Jorge arrived at the emergency room in an ambulance with a severe cardiac arrhythmia and chest pain. When we ran his labs, we discovered that his ferritin levels, the protein that stores iron in the blood and tissues, were at 800 nanograms per milliliter. That is a massively toxic level. His heart was literally poisoned by metal. We immediately stopped the iron, initiated a therapeutic blood donation protocol to drain the deposits, and adjusted his diet. His heart rhythm stabilized within a month, and he avoided permanent and irreversible damage to his coronary arteries. Think of iron in your body like water, and your cardiovascular system like a fine steel bicycle. A little water is absolutely necessary to wash the bicycle and keep it working. But if you leave that bicycle outside in constant torrential rain day after day, the metal will rust, it corrodes, weakens structurally, and eventually breaks apart. That is exactly at the molecular level what excess iron does to your cardiovascular system. Iron is a highly reactive transition metal. When you have too much free iron circulating in the blood because you took a pill you did not need, it triggers a violent chemical process called the Fenton reaction. This Fenton reaction is a biological nightmare. It converts harmless hydrogen peroxide molecules in your body into hydroxyl free radicals, the most aggressively destructive cellular destroyers known to science. These free radicals relentlessly attack the LDL cholesterol in your blood. Listen carefully. LDL cholesterol on its own, floating peacefully, is not the murderous villain you have been led to believe for decades. But when excess iron oxidizes that LDL cholesterol, the molecule changes shape. It becomes small, dense, toxic, and extremely sticky. It violently penetrates the walls of your arteries, triggering a massive immune response that forms the atherosclerotic plaques that block blood flow. A University of Brighton study that followed 1,240 participants for 8 years demonstrated that unnecessary iron supplementation acts as a potent pro-oxidant, damaging heart muscle tissue and dramatically increasing the risk of fatal cardiovascular disease. The biological truth is that after age 60, especially in postmenopausal women who no longer lose blood monthly, iron needs drop sharply. Your body is a master recycler and reuses iron from old red blood cells with an astonishing efficiency of 95%. Accumulating more iron through synthetic pills is an unacceptable risk for your arteries. The safe alternative requires absolute caution. Never, under any circumstance, take an iron supplement unless your doctor has diagnosed iron deficiency anemia confirmed through a complete blood panel, including ferritin levels, transferrin saturation, and total iron binding capacity. If you genuinely need iron to maintain your energy, get it from natural food sources. The heme iron in lean grass-fed beef or the non-heme iron in black beans combined with a little fresh lemon juice is perfectly safe. Why? Because your intestinal tract has a brilliant defense mechanism that regulates its absorption, blocking excess iron from entering your blood. Laboratory pills bypass this defense mechanism entirely. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to the great deception of the supreme antioxidant that holds our number 2 spot. Number 2, vitamin E in massive doses. High-dose synthetic vitamin E. During the supplement craze of the 80s and 90s, vitamin E was globally acclaimed as the definitive holy grail of cardiovascular health. Self-proclaimed television experts told us that swallowing golden vitamin E pills would magically cleanse our arteries, reverse aging, and stop heart attacks cold. It was one of the most successful and profitable pseudoscientific marketing campaigns in the history of modern medicine. And it was a colossal mistake. Listen to the tragic story of Elena, a 66-year-old woman who fell victim to this propaganda. She took a capsule of 1,000 international units of synthetic vitamin E every single day without fail. She genuinely believed she was building an impenetrable shield around her heart. Instead, Elena began noticing her ankles swelling terribly. She started retaining fluid in her abdomen and feeling short of breath just walking from the kitchen to the bedroom. She was on the verge of acute congestive heart failure. Her poisoned heart could not pump blood with the force needed to clear her lungs. We immediately removed the synthetic vitamin E, gave her mild diuretics, and I prescribed a simple handful of raw almonds per day. In 6 weeks, her fluid retention disappeared completely and she recovered her lung capacity while walking. Her heart beat with vigor once again. To understand this, imagine that cellular inflammation in your body is a small controlled fire on your kitchen stove. Natural antioxidants are like a small handheld fire extinguisher. A couple of precise bursts safely put out the fire. But taking massive synthetic vitamin E supplements is like walking into that small kitchen and emptying 10 full industrial extinguishers all at once. You do not just put out the fire. You fill the entire room with thick toxic chemical powder, suffocating everyone inside and destroying the kitchen. Vitamin E, when taken in high doses isolated from its natural cofactors, undergoes a bizarre transformation. It stops being a protective antioxidant and becomes a dangerous pro-oxidant that attacks your own cells. This is not a fringe theory. It is a clinical fact proven by the HOPE trial, one of the largest and most important cardiovascular studies ever conducted. This monumental study followed 9,541 high cardiovascular risk patients for 5 long years. Researchers expected to see miracles. Instead, they saw disaster. Patients who took 400 units of vitamin E daily saw zero reduction in heart attacks, zero benefits. Worse still, they experienced a terrifying 13 to 20% increase in the risk of developing serious heart failure compared to those who took a simple sugar placebo pill. An additional study from the Cleveland Clinic, the SELECT trial with 35,533 men, confirmed that vitamin E supplementation does not protect the heart and can, in fact, increase other serious health risks. Instead of protecting heart muscle, the excess synthetic alpha tocopherol, which is the cheap form used in supplements, violently disrupted the delicate natural balance of other crucial antioxidants in the body, like vitamin C and glutathione, irreversibly weakening the vital pumping strength of the heart. The safe alternative is to abandon synthetic doses forever. Nature is wise. Nuts, almonds, sunflower seeds, and avocados are absolutely packed with natural vitamin E in all its forms, not just alpha tocopherol, but gamma and delta tocopherols as well. They also come intelligently packaged with prebiotic fiber and healthy monounsaturated fats that work in perfect synergy to ensure safe absorption. A simple handful of raw almonds per day, chewed slowly, will give you all the protective vitamin E your heart needs without the deadly risk of drowning it in laboratory chemicals. But brace yourself and breathe deeply, because number one on this list is the most prescribed supplement by doctors, the most consumed by women, and the most destructive of all for your arteries. It is the main reason you stayed to watch this video to the very end. Number one, isolated calcium supplements. If you are a woman over 60 or a man concerned about your bone structure, it is almost certain that a well-intentioned but outdated doctor has spoken to you about the terrors of osteoporosis. He showed you an X-ray, frightened you with the idea of a hip fracture, and prescribed a giant calcium carbonate pill of 1,000 or 1,500 milligrams per day. He looked you in the eye and told you that swallowing that chalky rock is the only way to keep your bones strong and avoid ending up in a wheelchair. Listen to me very carefully. This is one of the most common, negligent, and dangerous medical errors of our generation. Taking isolated calcium supplements in high doses is, without exaggeration, the fastest and most effective way to destroy your cardiovascular system and guarantee a heart attack. Let me tell you the heartbreaking story of Marta. Marta is a wonderful 72-year-old patient who lived in absolute terror of breaking her hip because she watched her mother suffer that exact fate. To protect herself, for 10 long years, Marta took her enormous calcium carbonate supplement every morning with a glass of orange juice. She felt she was doing the right thing. One Tuesday afternoon, while watering her plants, she experienced a crushing, oppressive pain in the center of her chest that radiated into her left jaw. She collapsed to the floor in a cold sweat. She survived a massive heart attack by sheer luck and the fast intervention of paramedics. When the cardiologists reviewed her scans, they discovered the horrible truth. Her coronary arteries, the vital pipes that feed blood to her heart, were severely calcified. They looked like lead tubes on the x-rays. All that calcium Marta swallowed over a decade was not going to strengthen her femur or spine. It was getting stuck in her heart. We stopped the toxic calcium supplement that very afternoon in the hospital. We introduced natural calcium through daily servings of organic Greek yogurt, and most importantly, added a specific vitamin K2 supplement. 1 year after this radical change, Marta's bone density scans showed real improvement in her bone mass, and her coronary arteries showed not one single millimeter of new calcification. Her heart is protected again, and her bones are stronger than ever. Here is the definitive analogy that will save your life and help you understand this phenomenon called the calcium paradox. Imagine your body is an immense skyscraper construction project. Your bones are the deep steel foundations, and calcium is the high-strength fresh cement. If you pour the cement exactly into the foundations and let it set correctly, the building will be indestructible. But taking a massive synthetic calcium supplement is like bringing 100 concrete mixer trucks and pouring thousands of liters of fresh cement directly into the delicate plumbing and ventilation system of the building. The cement will never reach the foundations. It will rapidly harden inside the water pipes, completely blocking the flow and making the building collapse from within. Your coronary arteries are those vital pipes. When you swallow a 1,000 milligram calcium pill, it has no magic GPS directing it to your bones. That mineral chunk triggers a sharp, massive, and completely unnatural spike in calcium levels in your bloodstream within just a couple of hours. Your body, which is designed to maintain an extremely tight blood calcium balance so your heart can beat, enters absolute panic upon seeing so much calcium floating freely. Since the bone rebuilding process is slow and cannot push all that calcium toward the bones fast enough, the body takes emergency action. It deposits that toxic excess calcium in the soft tissues to get it out of the blood. It deposits in your kidneys, forming painful kidney stones. It deposits in your joints, causing arthritic pain. And most lethally of all, it embeds deeply in the walls of your coronary arteries and crystallizes the valves of your heart, making them rigid and prone to rupture. The scientific evidence on this is overwhelming, clear, and terrifying. The multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis, known as MESA, conducted by top-tier researchers at Johns Hopkins University, evaluated more than 2,742 people over a full decade. The results were chilling. Those who took regular calcium supplements had a 22% higher risk of developing severe calcified plaque buildup in their arteries compared to those who obtained their calcium from diet alone. Additionally, a research team from the University of Auckland, led by the renowned Dr. Ian Reid, analyzed consolidated data from more than 11,990 patients across multiple clinical trials. They found that isolated calcium supplementation increases the risk of suffering a fulminant heart attack by a staggering 30%. 30% higher odds of a fatal heart attack simply from trying to protect your bones with the wrong pill. Why does this biological disaster happen? Because calcium is a dumb mineral. It needs strict traffic directors telling it where to go and where to stay away from. And this is where the practical, cutting-edge, science-based protocol comes in, which you must implement today to save your heart and strengthen your skeleton at the same time. First, go to your bathroom right now and throw your high-dose calcium carbonate or calcium citrate supplements in the trash. Get your calcium exclusively from real food. The calcium that comes from Greek yogurt, traditional kefir, sardines with bones, almonds, and steamed broccoli arrives packaged in organic matrices. It is absorbed slowly, steadily, and safely through your digestive tract over the course of hours. It never causes that toxic emergency spike in the blood. Your arteries stay safe and clean. Second, if you want that food calcium to actually travel to your bones and permanently leave your arteries, you absolutely need two commanders-in-chief, vitamin D3 and vitamin K2. Vitamin D3 acts as the gatekeeper. It opens the door of your intestines to allow the calcium from food to enter your bloodstream. But the true medical magic, the secret of cardiovascular longevity, is vitamin K2, specifically in its MK7 form. Vitamin K2 is the ultimate traffic director. It performs two miraculous jobs simultaneously. First, it activates a builder protein called osteocalcin. Activated osteocalcin acts like a powerful magnet that grabs floating calcium from your blood and physically drives it into the matrix of your bones and teeth, making them as hard as steel. At the same time, vitamin K2 activates a second protein called matrix GLA protein, or MGP. MGP acts like a microscopic street sweeper or a protective shield inside your blood vessels, actively blocking and removing the calcium that tries to stick to the walls of your heart and arteries. Without vitamin K2 in your system, calcium is a deadly hazard wandering through your bloodstream looking for where to cause damage. With optimal vitamin K2 levels, calcium becomes the docile and obedient bone builder you always needed it to be. Let's summarize this vital information so you take control of your health today. Synthetic vitamin A overloads your liver's capacity and promotes vascular calcification. Laboratory folic acid saturates your digestive enzymes and drives severe endothelial inflammation. Over the counter iron acts like pure rust, corroding and oxidizing your arteries from the inside out. High in unnatural vitamin E doses suffocate the vital pumping strength of your heart. And isolated calcium supplements act literally like fresh cement poured into your coronary arteries, pushing your risk of a heart attack up by 30%. You have the absolute power to protect your body and your future. You do not need to rely on plastic bottles filled with isolated chemical compounds that your aging body no longer recognizes or can process. Nature, in its infinite wisdom, has already packaged all these nutrients in the safest, most synergistic, and most bioavailable form in real and delicious foods. And always remember, as the golden rule of longevity, consult your specialist before making any drastic changes and demand real blood tests like ferritin or vitamin D levels to confirm real deficiencies before blindly swallowing a pill. Now I want to hear from you because this community is about learning together. Go to the comments section below and honestly write how many of these 5 supplements you currently take using this format. I take X of 5. I want to read your real commitment to your cardiovascular health. Also, please perform an act of love and share this video on WhatsApp or Facebook with that dear friend or family member who swallows a handful of synthetic pills every morning thinking they are doing themselves good. You could literally be saving their life today. But listen to this with extreme attention. Before you leave, your supplements are now under control. But there are 5 daily habits, things you do every single day without thinking, that are just as silent and dangerous for your heart muscle. One of them you do every night in the 10 minutes right before you fall asleep, and it is destroying your blood pressure regulation without you noticing in the slightest. In my next video, I will reveal exactly what those 5 deadly nightly habits are and how to stop them tonight so you wake up with a stronger heart. You cannot miss it for anything in the world. I am Dr. Cezar Villareal. Take care of your heart. Take care of your life. See you in the next video.